Welcome to Copy Chief Radio. Today's show is a freelancer's journey episode where successful freelancers share the tactical moves that catapulted their careers through the phases of the freelancer's journey. To see all 7 phases, where you are now, and how to move forward, head over to copychief.com/phases. To check out all the Copy Chief Radio episode types, go to copychief.com/CCR. Hey, welcome. So good to have you here. I am really thrilled about this episode today because I get to talk to you about some more advanced business building stuff. You may know or have seen what we call the freelancer's journey. There's 7 phases to the freelancer's journey. Phase 0, even before it starts, is that moment in your life where you're like, I can't do this 9-to-5 thing. This ain't working for me. I guess I'm unhireable. What do I do with that? And then we say, maybe I can get paid for something I love to do. And then we go down the journey of freelancing. Phase 7 is when you are essentially beyond client money, we call it, and you're building your own assets and you're building a business. And phase 7 is actually building your legacy business. And what I mean by legacy is not that somebody should erect a statue to you. It's that hopefully the thing you're building could thrive even beyond you someday, right? Could you build something that really is a legacy of security and support for not only its customers, but for your family? And I am in the phase 7 of my life and business, which is a little shocking whenever I think about my life and my journey. I mean, it's crazy that I'm here, but I focus my days on building a business. And I am more of a grown-up business owner today than I ever imagined being. I don't get to talk about this quite as much because most of the people that I coach in my coaching groups are in the earlier phases. We have 3 different groups of phases that we coach in our accelerator program, 1 through 3, which is the very early stages of proving the model, wanting to break into a new business. 4 and 5, which is where you're established in your freelancing and you want to scale and really like build a solid foundation and start to scale your business. And 6 and 7 is basically when you're ready to start building a real business and be a CEO. And so today I'm joined by my CEO, what we call the integrator in the system we're going to be talking to you a little bit about today, which is called EOS. It's the Entrepreneurial Operating System created by Gino Wickman. There's a great book you may have come across called Traction, which is really the nucleus, I believe, of that program. And it is very much a system that you install in your business. And we're going to tell you more about it, not with any objective. There is no affiliate link. We're not affiliated with EOS other than the fact that we are implementers of the system. And it's been really game-changing for us. So Rachel Mazza is here, who is my integrator, essentially my COO, I guess would be more accurate if people are used to those terms. And also Jessica Mae Stafford, who is not only our financial advisor in the business, our tax consultant, but has become very much a high-level consultant to help us stay in control of the financial health of the business, but also help us look to grow and scale the business and the best ways to do that. Her company is The Bottom Line. She is basically a financial services business, accounting and tax help for her high-level business clients. Actually, of all levels, she's really able to help anybody. And we just had an event, the Copy Chief Live, where Jess did a brilliant thing. She came in and taught for each phase of the freelancer's journey how to think about your tax, your income, how to install profit first models in your business so you're actually getting paid while you grow a business instead of some mythical day in the future when you actually get to get a piece. And so thank you both for being here. I'm really excited to have this conversation and let people know what we do behind the scenes every day. So Rachel, I'll let you start.
Sure. It's so funny you saying she's my CEO, my COO, the integrator. I feel like one of the biggest things about EOS is it's so simple and so clear, unless you're talking to somebody who has no idea what it is. And then you're like, oh,
right.
Just trust me that this person steers the ship and we got it under control. It's fine.
You know, one thing I love about EOS, hi, everybody, this is Jess.
That's Jess.
You know, EOS focuses on function, not titles. And I think we're in a world that likes titles to understand what we do. And I think that's one of the brilliant things about EOS that I've enjoyed, kind of trying to drop the label and be more about what it is that you're owning and what you're driving inside your businesses as they're growing and scaling.
Yeah, I think if we're going to dive right into the meat of things, one of the best things that EOS has done for us is take away any pretension or baggage that comes with these titles. And instead of focusing on the titles, they have you create what they call an accountability chart, which is like an org chart. But instead of being focused around positions and titles, it's focused around responsibilities and success metrics. So who owns what and what numbers and things do those people get to obsess over, which just clears up any confusion or any sort of head trash around like, oh, I'm supposed to be this seat or this person. It just makes everything really clear and then also gives people permission to own their seat as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that part too. It takes a minute because it looks a little like an org chart, but it talks and walks like an accountability chart. So that's an EOS thing too. But I love that. I love that part of it. And it's been great to understand what it is we do and what we own, which I think clarity is the big driver behind EOS for sure.
Yeah, and it really fits well with our world of remote workers, entrepreneurial mindset workers, if that's not too much of an oxymoron, because we're in this interesting place in the concept of employment here in 2022, somewhat post-pandemic. I know we're actually really still in the thick of it. I just literally got tested today again. Negative, thank you. But in this ever-changing world, fast-changing world, we're seeing the old ways very quickly disrupted. Even companies that I often recommend and get writers hired at, who their hard rule before the pandemic was you had to move to some god-awful town and live there to do your work. And now it starts with a B, ends with more. No, there's parts of it that are cool. But anyway, now it's all remote, of course, just like every other business. And so EOS is an amazing system in how that relates to what you guys were just saying. Is the concept of it is that you have these meetings, and when you leave the meeting, everybody is clear on what they need to do in their role for that week, and they go do it, and you quit worrying about how they're going to do it. You don't babysit them. You don't sit on top of them. You try not to task them to death. And so it serves a very entrepreneurial atmosphere for people who might be more comfortable as freelancers or working on their own, very capable of working on their own, but want to do it in a structure where there's opportunity for growth. And, there's sort of like it's more of a bumper car experience rather than a freewheeling go-kart or something.
I think that having everything be outcome-based and results-based rather than task-based is the key, and something that's so hard to learn and sink into, because that's how we grow up our entire lives. Like in school, when we get jobs, it's like, okay, complete these tasks, check these boxes, fill in this Scantron, right? And it's such a huge mental shift to have the trust to allow people to do things their way. You say, look, I want this done, just get it done. And that's the basis behind EOS. It's so difficult to have that trust. And it takes a long time to learn how to do that as a leader. Such a learning curve.
I think one of the things that I really enjoyed that it almost seems a bit counterintuitive when you start is, first of all, they tell you from EOS's lens, it's going to take you about 18 months, 36 months to go through this whole process. And I'm like, I will do it in 6 because I can't wait 18 months.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
And I'm like, and if it's going to take that, we ain't doing it. Because we actually, in the bottom line, also adopted EOS. We're about 7 quarters in at this point. How many quarters is Copy Chief in at this point?
This was our 5th.
Yeah. So we quickly learned, right, gang, that it's going to take the 18 months at least. And we keep learning every quarter. But they put you in these things called L10s, because who here's ever been inside an unproductive meeting where you spend endless amounts of hours doing nothing? This girl right here. What about you guys?
Yeah, definitely.
And
I will say I have escaped that. Every time somebody talks about having to go to yet another meeting where nothing gets accomplished, that blows my mind, because that would have been my signal to never work in that company. But it's amazing how commonplace that is for people.
Yeah,
sure.
It is fairly common. Even if I have a meeting with myself, it could be incredibly unproductive sometimes. But
I know those.
But this L10, one of the things they tell you to do, which, EOS, and I know we're talking about the legacy side of the journey, the freelancer's journey right now, but I think there's something beautiful about this L10, this once a week meeting. It's a standing time that they tell you to start on time and end on time. And as you guys know, we love profit first at the bottom line. We're certified profit first professionals. You guys love profit first. You've been on it for years now. Thank you, Mike McAllowitz, for that. And it's adoption of Parkinson's law. The time will expand to fill the space that it's given. And if this is all we have, this is all we have. And we better do what it is that we need to do. But I think the really neat thing about what they did in this L10, they tell you to do that first. Before you try to do all the other stuff, they tell you to just get in to a 90-minute meeting once a week, make it extremely effective, rely on it, build community there, build trust there, deal with issues there, get data there, start getting on the same page with this one activity. And I think anybody at any stage in the journey, if they committed to this L10, it would revolutionize the journey all the way through, now that I can look at it all the way back.
Yeah, the level 10s were a huge game changer for us. And so first of all, if you guys don't know EOS, level 10, they call it a level 10 because at the end of the meeting, you rate how effective was this meeting on a scale of 1 to 10. So you always want it to be a 10. If it's below an 8, then you stop everything and you say like, all right, what would make these meetings more effective? So it allows you constantly to check in and make sure you're not having unproductive meetings. But it's so funny because at Copy Chief, and I'm sure a lot of companies like it, we're creatives here. We like to brainstorm. We go off on tangents, and the L10s are very structured. Like there is a very specific agenda and you follow the exact agenda every single week. And there's very specific rules about when you can talk about certain types of topics, whether it's like a quick report or whether it's something you got to dive into. And man, at first it was the most uncomfortable thing as the integrator to have to defend those, because I'm in this room of wonderful creatives and idea people who do their best work and make magic for our business by being allowed to like explore their thoughts and go down these rabbit holes. And here I am saying like, guys, we got to focus on the issues. And so at first it was such a drag, but then after we looped in our leadership team and everyone on the team about how the meetings work and why they work, and everyone just learned to love them. Now it's like we get on those and we're excited because we know it's that freedom of constraints, right? You know you can work on your stuff and you know how to do it. And so it did take a couple of growing pains though at first.
And I love how they just have you start every meeting with good news. They get you to practice celebrating what's good personally and professionally, which a lot of people struggle with. To celebrate what's good or to know or see what's good because we're so conditioned to find the problem so we can fix it.
And that one felt frivolous at first, I'll admit. I was sitting, because I would go on 3 level 10s a day, right? With Kevin and I as the visionary integrator, our leadership team, and then I was running the product delivery team meetings. And we would sit there and there'd be sometimes like 6 or 7 people on the call. We would go around, everyone has to say like, here's my professional win, here's my personal win. And I'm just looking at all the faces and I'm like, I'm making all these people sit for 10 minutes on this call talking about like their dogs. And they must think it's such a waste of time. And I asked them to give me their time and out of respect. And now I'm making them talk about these silly things. But again, at first, when you're not used to it, it seems like something that's a waste of time or unproductive. But that is like the best team building thing that we have in our business. People love hearing about it. We laugh and it sets a tone for being able to talk about difficult and deep stuff without feeling hostile or aggressive or about it.
That's a good point. I hadn't even really thought about it like that. Because we're starting in a very human place, and it's just like a minute each person, right? Yeah. So, but you're right. It's like we're reminding each other that we care about each other as people first. And now we're getting to business. These aren't contentious meetings ever. We're there to solve problems, at least in our culture, they're not. But That's a really good point, Rachel. It brings out that human element first. The other thing to me is that it's very revealing to me what people talk about and how comfortable they are. Like you said, Jess, celebrating a win. You can see when somebody new comes onto the team and from different kind of cultures, more rigid cultures, they're very timid about it at first. By the third one, they're like, oh, that you can tell they couldn't wait to share their thing. You could see the evolution of the L10s just through that moment as well.
It's also revealing about where people's heads are at around the business as well. So I noticed that we work with lots of contractors at Copy Chief, of course. And there's some contractors that really love Copy Chief and they're so passionate about what we do. And they're always asking about the numbers and things like that. And their professional wins are always about their work with us. And I've noticed that there's other contractors that their professional wins are about other clients or other things that they're doing in their business outside of Copy Chief. But I just think it's so interesting, like knowing where people's heads at, and you can quickly see like who's all in, like who wants to be here and like really sees this as like their home.
I think another thing it's laying the foundation, because the very next thing you get into is data, where you're basically having to unemotionally assess all the key metrics of the business that you look at weekly, which honestly, data is a really big benefit. And we tend to want to blow data up and look at all the things. But even EOS says no more than 15 numbers on your scorecard, because who can manage more than 15? But I think it sets a nice tone too when you go into that big kind of business piece of the data. Data is important. It's very important. And so it gives you those insights into the business on how they're going. It's not a right or wrong thing. It's on track or off track. And if it's off track, we IDS it. So we take all the stigma of something not working off too, so we can all be free to collaborate and communicate openly so we can solve issues for good, for the greater good. And I love that part about it because, like, for instance, Rachel, just a minute ago, you said I'm in 3 L10s, and maybe you, dear listener, are saying, what the heck? Does she get anything else done besides meetings? Because that's really when you get started in this. I bet our freelancer listeners are right now could really relate to the fact that you wear a lot of hats, you know, when you're trying to be in the grind and the climb, and then you get into the legacy stage in particular, you know, there's the work that you do, and then there's the business you're building and growing and the leadership that you have to do to it. And EOS even addresses capacity, which I think is really real. Capacity meaning, you know, emotionally, intellectually, physically. They tell you no more than 2 seats on your chart, and you cannot lead, manage, and hold more than 7 people accountable. Well, in the beginning, that's a nice idea. That's a real nice idea. But even that becomes a goal within the system because it's a battle-tested process that no one is going to have the capacity to do more than that in any organization, no matter how superhuman you may think you are. And as a visionary myself, I have to fight that really hard because visionaries like to break things, wreck things, and we can do all things, and we're all going to do it together no matter what. And so I can tell you it's humbled me in more ways than I can count over the last 8 quarters in EOS as a visionary, trying to be the best visionary I can be from my seat for the team that's actually doing such amazing things. And I know, Kevin, you know, you and your team are up to the same stuff. So I think that's what's really cool about it too. Like, it's just helped me really focus on who I am as a leader and my contribution to the whole. Because when you're in that chart, you're there to do the thing with the team. It's not you being an owner or you being a shareholder necessarily of your business or your entity. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, that's big. I think that what it does is, well, like the idea of sitting in several seats out of necessity, right? The thing is, you know, we start our business and it's essentially just us. Like with Copy Chief, it was just me. Then it was me and like a volunteer. Then it was me and the part-time employee. And then it was 2 part-time employees, right? And somehow cobbled along for 3-4 years that way before it was like, I either need to go all in on this and like really become a business owner and grow a thing here, or I need to turn back and just do something, because I once was nimble and now everything I do affects other people in ways. I'll never forget the day I realized, and it was, of course, a year or 2 into me doing it, that it was personally insulting to toss an idea grenade into the plan. You know what I mean? And this is what visionaries do. We have all these ideas and we love to come and go, guys, I know we said we were doing the one thing, but I'm just going to add this one thing to it, or I got a slightly different way to do it because I was just at this mastermind meeting and I'm telling you it's brilliant. It's going to be a game changer. And everybody, especially in the early days, is like, oh, okay, I guess that's what we'll do then. And they don't want to push back for a couple of reasons. One, because, well, you're supposed to be the visionary and hopefully you know what you're doing. Two, in my case, I had coached a lot of these folks and they maybe looked up to me a little. And so it was even harder for them to push back. And it occurred to me once that, oh, it's not only that I'm being disruptive when I bring in a new project or a new idea, it's personally insulting because we have made a promise together that we had a plan. And now I'm turning my back on that promise we essentially made together, right? So that was revealing. That was even before EOS. And now we just had our quarterly yesterday. And I said at the end of the meeting, my one big way to improve, I will ask everybody on this team is please say no to me almost by default. Let's share equal responsibility for me being allowed to disrupt plans, because even if we need 2 or 3 stages of filter on it before it ever gets to implementation stage, because Rachel, again, I always talk about Rachel as this sort of unicorn where she's unbelievably creative and capable at facilitating creative ideas, adding to creative ideas. She's also unbelievably good at implementing and executing. And so she could easily take an idea that I find exciting. She finds it exciting, and she's halfway done with the plan before we've even stopped to breathe and think it through. So at first we were very dangerous together. And so that's one thing we've learned. And I think that all creative freelancers find challenging as they begin to start to build things.
The problem at Copy Chief is that having Kevin as a visionary, 99.9% of his ideas are brilliant and they are amazing and everyone's excited about them, but we don't have 50 people on the team yet to make them go. And so it's hard. It really is like a kill your darlings thing. It's like, it's just a math problem or capacity problem because everything that we try to do is great. And just because we have incredible content, incredible members, incredible resources and trainings and things to offer people. And it's so hard to step up and say, like, we can't do this because we just can't.
And I think just the art of like growing up to be able to say, not right now. Because, I've always adopted the way I dealt with organizational whiplash was I would end up like Kevin was talking about was yes and how. And then you start become kind of this chess player, the puppet master, if you will, trying to wrangle all the pieces because you're fatiguing as a visionary. And I agree, Rachel is brilliant. It's been wonderful working with her and the team, and her contribution into the leadership is transforming Copy Chief from the inside out, no doubt. And I think the duo that you guys have, which EOS calls rocket fuel, when the right visionary and the right integrator get together, it's like lightning in a bottle. And that's really a big deal for sure.
So how's your freelance business doing? Not really, I want to know. Because did you know there are 7 phases of a freelancing career? It's true. I know this because I created the phases, but not just for fun or, to have a hook. It's because I've lived all of these phases and I've now coached hundreds of freelancers through all 7 of these phases. They're real. So let's find out which phase you're in right now. And if you agree, I'll send you the short list of things you want to do right now to reach the next phase where life gets much better. If you're feeling stuck, let's unstuck your freelancing. Copychief.com/phases. Take the quick assessment, get your result, and get moving forward. Copychief.com/phases. I'll see you there. Let's talk a little bit about having to sort of like pivot. That's been this theme, for anybody, any business over the last couple of years. But sometimes we just talked about idea grenades and like trying to, curb our enthusiasm on things. But sometimes just like life, things happen to you. You don't create your own chaos. Chaos arrives at your doorstep. And that often looks like someone leaving the company or someone, a key member of your team having a life disruption that we all need to support and make up for their absence. Just you're in a scenario right now where your integrator needed to take a leave of absence to handle some important personal business. What has it been like for you to suddenly not have the most critical role in this system available to you?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm so grateful for the months that EOS had before that conversation with her. And I'm so grateful for the framework of EOS, because when you move from in the freelancer's journey to searching for salvation, to figuring the thing out, to having a thing, and then growing and scaling a thing in this legacy portion, there's nobody telling you how to do this. You're just breaking crap all along the way. And I always say the secret to success has to be suffering, because that's where all the lessons live. And Ashley, who's the integrator for the bottom line, because we've gotten so great at IDSing things, identify, discuss, solve. That's what IDS stands for in EOS, because every issue is solvable and it needs to be solved for good and for the greater good. And she had came to me because not only was she kind of struggling about 8 quarters in, just about 3 months before that, our director of operations, or our operations person on our chart, had decided after 4 years that she was going to move into a different opportunity after a big, huge transition she had kind of casted vision for. So we had 2 key people on our leadership team, which is frankly what EOS is designed to do too. It's designed to make us all reflect and assess on are we the right person for this, and is the right time for this? Like, it's really scary to ask for that when you're wanting to go and grow. And so Ashley came to me and she really thought, I'm going to have to just leave because I have some personal things and stuff like that going on. And she really felt like the only answer was to just give her notice. And the beautiful thing about EOS and all the training and the relationship building and all the things we had gotten to work out the eight quarters before had taught us how to communicate in a way of like, I could ask the question very calmly, be concerned about her first and the business second, first of all, because that's what we need to do. We need to be concerned about each other first. Right. Because the business stuff can be figured out. And I've been doing business with my best friend for over 2 decades. And she's also my business partner. And there's just nothing worth, no business is worth wrecking something that means a lot to you, and people are important. You don't have a business without people. And so I needed to figure out, well, what's the issue here? Are you unhappy with the culture? Are you unhappy with the company? Like, is there something we're doing? Because what's best for you is going to be best for us. And so we resolved that wasn't the issue. She just needed space and time because we'd just been through a huge transition in the company. She has 3 young children. And what we boiled it down to is like, this is a really big decision. You're not leaving for any other reason than you just need space to figure some stuff out. What the greater good decision was is let's figure out a way to accommodate a personal leave of absence, because I frankly don't want to go find another integrator because I think you're the perfect integrator, but you got to believe that about yourself too. And whatever that decision is at the end of the day, when we come back together 2 months, because it's a 4-month leave, then we'll figure that out next. Right. And we've been able to not only survive, but thrive with the EOS framework with her stepping out. Has it been hard? Heck yeah. Do we miss her? Every day. In fact, I might even cry. But your people are important. And I think us being able to lead and manage in a way that explores all the options without thinking this door is the only door has been really beautiful about EOS. And what we have to do as leaders in our organization is we have to serve the greater good first, no matter what. Right. That skill is a quality. If we learn that early, it really can create a lot more momentum on the back end, because I'm decades in learning that lesson, right? But I'm paying attention. Yeah. So
the system supports your culture.
It does.
And, it's my thought as you were describing this, Jess, was you talked about caring about people first. You can't only show concern for people or caring about them when it's convenient. The true mark, I think, of a culture is does it look the same when things aren't going well as it does when they are? And obviously the mood is a little different, sort of like a football team that's winning or losing. But at the foundation, they need to all believe in the cause through it all if they're ever going to turn a bad thing around. You can't have any kind of culture you choose. Does it make things more difficult? Maybe. Like, I'm sure there are people who might hear this, business owners who would go, I would never give a key role 2 months off to go figure something out. I'd replace them within a week.
Which is okay. Which is okay.
Yeah. But it's also a choice because you said to her, I'm going to give you grace and we will figure this out. And you're hedging your bet a little bit because if she comes back refreshed and ready, you still came out ahead. Yeah. But you're rolling the dice that she will come back in 2 months and go, I just can't. That phase of my life is over. And then you'll be 2 months behind finding the next person. But these are the decisions we have to make. Rachel and I are always talking about, boy, the people puzzle is the hardest part. And what we mean by that is because partly what makes it so difficult is we do care a lot about people. And we only want to bring people into the culture who are going to contribute to the culture, not abuse it or take away from it. And so, Rachel, we've been learning how to hire and fire and try to do that more quickly. Because one of the things I love about EOS is it's very sort of matter of fact about when you bring on a new person, you say, hey, this all feels great to both you and us right now. We all are very optimistic this is going to work out. But let's be clear that if it isn't working out, we'll end it quickly because that's the respectful thing to both of us.
Yes.
It wasn't going to work if it wasn't working for one of us. So let's both vow to be very honest about that, and we'll both move on quickly and be better for it. And that way it allows the system to serve the culture in that way as well.
Jess always said, and I don't know if this is from EOS, Jess, or if this is just one of your many amazing Jessisms, but always checking, are you protecting a person, a process, or a paycheck, right?
Oh yeah, I got the scar on that one. That came from the mouth of Jess right there. Because I could tell when I was doing all three of those things, which EOS tells you got to be radically honest and vulnerable and deal with the hard thing, And so, yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah.
It's a Jessism. You are the expert. It's a mantra now at Copy Chief. Are we protecting a people, a person, a process, or a paycheck here? Is that why we're doing this? Because we care so deeply and so much. And that's part of the reason that both of our companies are so great is because it's all human-based, right? Yeah. We do human-based marketing at Copy Chief. It's really just honoring the person. And one of my favorite Kevisms is you can honor the person without guaranteeing the outcome.
No, I got that from Jess too.
Oh, did you? Oh, I see.
That's a Jessism. They're all Jessisms. We at least have to write that book, Jessisms, if nothing else.
Yeah, we could do that. We can collab on that. And I think, culture is all of that stems from our culture. And one of the things that I think another thing when Ashley came to me, the relationship, the community that was built over time, week to week and issue to issue, allowed her to just be transparent and honest. But one of the things we say in our culture is we're going to love you on the way in and we're going to love you on the way out. We say it about our clients first, but we mean it about our team too. And our people and our clients are watching us, and we're not going to be perfect and we're not going to get it right every single time. But what we do after that thing is going to be the thing that leaves the impression over time. Mm-hmm. And we're always going to get a chance to make it better, no matter what that looks like. And I think EOS gives you a really rigid but freeing framework to kind of do that in. And even though it's designed for teams of 10 to 250, I think a 2-person team or a 1-person team can get a lot of benefits out of just understanding a few of those concepts for sure. And one of the things that isn't mine, it belongs to Michael Hyatt, where I got to be a part of something. And he threw out a communication that said, culture is the unseen force that drives operational results. And everything we do is culture. And I think that's why EOS is also, it's culture building. And then you put who you are and the heart behind the work and the vision behind what you do. And then there's your magic that only looks like your business and only looks like your team. And I think that's cool too, because that thief of comparison is definitely something we all fight for sure.
It's like we say with Rachel, how we help train freelancers. Something we emphasize a lot is their unique DNA. Mm-hmm. That when you're new as, say, a copywriter, you do not need to get at the back of the line as a newbie. If you combine your emerging copy skills with your existing business experience and other skills, suddenly you might be somebody's perfect expert. And what Jess is talking about, it occurs to me for the first time, is like our culture is now our sort of DNA. And that comes from the core values. One thing they have you do in EOS is create your list of core values. And I'll admit that for me, this was always something I would scoff at until recently. This idea, it felt Pollyannish to me. It felt
mission statement.
Yeah, forced. And used to get very annoyed when people would ask me, what's your vision for Copy Chief? And I'm like, survive next week. Like, what do you mean? But, you just keep evolving, and suddenly you begin to embrace those ideas because you can see the big picture. Rachel, let's talk a little bit about those core values. You know what I love is we begin to wrap up here, because we could talk forever about EOS, and maybe we'll do a series of these.
Yeah, I think we got to do a part 2.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear feedback and what people take from this and one. It's so funny. EOS is one of those things too. It's almost like a secret handshake. When I see that orange book behind somebody's book, I'm like, is that an EOS book? Is that, what the heck is EOS? And and I'm like, oh, and then we just start geeking out immediately. It's like, but let's each share one of our company's core values, not to gloat on ourselves as these, high and mighty value holders, but just to give people an idea of what we mean by a core value and how it looks it sort of in the daily business. You want to start, Jess?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 4 core values, and I have to tell our dear listener that we used to have 12 that only I could never remember. So here's a newsflash. We're all carrying around some core values, and we probably have a lot of them. But if you're supposed to hire, fire, reward, and recognize using your core values to determine if you have the right person in your organization, remembering 12 is going to be really hard to manage. So we fought for the tried and true 4 inside the bottom line. And one of our 4 is we help first. What we help first means it's not always a yes, because your yes is expensive. We have to invest it wisely. Sometimes helping is the no, but it's a commitment to honor the person and do whatever we can to serve them in whatever way we need to for the greater good. And the way it walks and talks in our business, what that would look like is responding to an email within 48 hours, because in the accounting industry and tax industry, you got to do a lot of work in a short amount of time. And our industry is notorious for not getting rave reviews around customer service. And so that's one of the ways we help first. We've got to be communicative. Another way is we actually do email marketing ourselves as well. And we committed that when we emailed, we wouldn't just sell every time we emailed. We had to create value. And we would sell by serving. And so we can break our core value if we're not doing those things. And anytime that we have a coaching opportunity in the business, it's always around the core value when we're developing team or holding accountability for leadership. And you're coaching to that core value, and you're making it tangible based on what it looks like and what it doesn't look like. So we're not all over the place, because the goal is to be clear and on the same page. And so We Help First has been able to just skyrocket beyond industry leading customer service very tangibly in a way that allows us to develop, and when we have to, which is rare, discipline, but then always coaching. And so that's been what's been incredible about the core value for us.
Love it. So good. We Help First. Rachel, which of ours would you choose?
I think they're all, I don't know, they all embody us so much, but I think the first 2 have got to be the strongest culture at Copy Chief, from Kevin as the visionary down through a team, down through the freelancers we coach, and even members in the community. I think it just permeates all the way through. So I'd say the first 2.
Yeah. I know for you, the 4th one is a big one. So 4th one is we are driven by pride of performance. That's an interesting one, because it's something we gauge a lot and we see. And it's funny because positive and negative isn't the right term, but it goes in both directions. sometimes somebody can be stubbornly prided in their performance and a little too protective of their metric maybe or something, right? And other times it's just the driving force, and you'll see them doing things you didn't even ask for because they have that pride of performance. But yeah, I would say probably for us, the second one, honoring the pro code, is for us the one, like you said, Rachel, I love that you said it goes all the way down to what we teach. It's very much it's probably how we recognize the most if someone's a good fit for our coaching program. Yeah. If they just embody, because the pro code is a list of very, really practical things, hard and soft skills that one needs to possess to do good work as a service provider. But most of them can't be taught. They can be reminded, they can be emphasized. People either grew up with the instinct to follow a pro code or they didn't, right? And so it's things like communicating with care so that the person receiving your message can quickly understand what you're saying and understand what to do next. Having done what you said you would do when you said you would do it, and showing up to deliver it in a way it's just putting care into all aspects of the relationship, essentially, right, Rachel? And I think if somebody has that, they have all the options they need to thrive in business.
Well, and what's really interesting now, hearing you describe this, Kevin, is we honor the pro code. Basically, all of our other core values are definitions of the pro code. So we're willing and honest collaborators and communicators. We're perpetual students. We're driven by pride of performance. All of those things are the definition of the pro code, which is probably why that one's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
You were kind of talking about that just to to taking it back to the amazing event that you guys hosted back late in November of 2021, the Freelancers event. I got to be a part of that. Thank you again for so much for letting me be a part of it. But, one of the things I talked about was, in our culture, we want to make serious work fun. And so one of the things I've talked to you about, Kevin, is we get to deliver the core values speech to our team once a quarter. I love doing that. It's one of my most favorite things to do. And I didn't really actually understand how important it was, or actually, frankly, how well the team paid attention. But in that We Help First value, for example, part of what I say in our core value speech, when I deliver it, I'll say, we'll even take We Help First to the movies for you to fully understand this core value. All Rose had to do to help her true love Jack survive the icy cold waters of the Atlantic as the unsinkable Titanic plummeted into the ocean's abyss was invite him to climb up onto her floating board until rescued. But alas, she did not. Don't be like Rose. Help Jack. And I took that out one time because I thought it was silly and it didn't land well. Like I was on some stage trying to make everybody happy. And do you know, the second I ended that, they were like, where's Rose and Jack? Like, you took it out. So what happened?
Yeah. It's our favorite part.
Yeah. But that's another way that leaders and organizations can make core values tangible and memorable so that your people are thinking about those values every day when they're serving the clients that are coming into your halls and walls.
And as a copywriter, we're thinking about how relatable it is, because everyone listening to that has seen the movie and is like, why didn't he just get on the door? So now you've made that personal connection. So from a copywriting perspective, it's a great storytelling tool.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm all about the core values. We're carrying them around. Let's get them out and put them out there. So
that's a really good point. There is an instinct to be more efficient and say, let's not make everybody sit through this. They're probably like rolling their eyes and tapping their foot, but they don't. It's true. Again, if they embody the core value, meta moment here, and that's why they're here, they'll recognize and appreciate that they exist and that they're thought through, and they'll begin to recognize them everywhere they look in the company. I'll never forget the first time we read these, Rachel, after you and I, when we were alone in the quarterly meetings, and we came up with them, presented them to the leadership team. And Mary, who's been with me for 4 years now, almost started crying. She was very emotional. And she said, I'm just blown away to see these on paper in front of us, because this is exactly what we are and who we are. And I was like, wow, and it was a very genuine response. And I was like, okay, so I need to not always worry if the audience is bored and have them sit through the sermon, because at the end of it, they're going to say, I took something from that and I get who we are now and I get what we're doing here. And again, as a remote company, if you have a digital product and you work remote, or you have a remote team, this stuff is essential. You have to give people meaning and reason behind why they're showing up. And again, if it's not for them, that's the point of it too. You can go back to what Rach said, respect the person without guaranteeing the outcome. And if they don't dig what you're saying, or it's too much for them, that's sort of the point of it, right?
You want that. We talked about, I'll have to dig through the EOS book, but there were such great examples of other core values when we were going through and creating these that didn't jive with us. Like, I think it was like, do whatever it takes or something like that. Or like, there's ones like, I can't even think of any. Maybe you have some, Jess, but I remember reading.
We're so fast. We relentlessly pursue the lead.
Excellent. Yeah. Relentlessly pursue excellence. And it's like, we don't do that. We make a lot of mistakes and then we laugh about them and then we make podcasts about them.
Yeah. Yes. That's awesome. Yeah. And, I think they put you through this very rigorous process to identify your true core values, because there can be these aspirational values that you just simply attain, but you never, ever achieve or live by. So that's not a real value either. And so it's just awesome. And I think the hard labor and the fruit of what we're all experiencing in our businesses is, luckily, we're getting to speak from some wounds sometimes, but most of the time from the scar. And that's always a sweet place to be.
I love it. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for doing this. It's really great to document this part of the journey. Like we said, we don't get to talk about it because there are people in the coaching program who are in phase 6 and 7, certainly, but there's a lot more people who are looking to get to that point, and that's where we tend to focus. So it's been great to indulge in this. So if you want more of this, please reach out and let us know you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to check out Jess's podcast, which is, tell me again the title, Jess.
Yeah. So the Pay, Play, Profit podcast.
Yes.
Available everywhere you listen to podcasts. That's about as pitchy as I'll get here. But we just talk about tons of fun stuff along with finance, tax, accounting. And we specialize in helping the remote freelancer, online entrepreneur, and e-commerce business owner. So we love this. This has been super fun.
In fact, Jess is going to do a workshop in Copy Chief in a couple of weeks about freelancer finances. So if you are in phase 4, 5, 6, moving towards phase 7, and that's where you want to go, you got to be on that. So that'll be live in a couple of weeks. And if you're listening to this after that, then we'll have it in the dashboard. So catch that for sure.
That's awesome. And it's going to be an ice cream social with honey buns. And you got to get in on that.
If you know, you know.
Well, you know, we're kind of spilling a little bit of the tea here. So I'm sorry if I'm doing it, but,
no, it's true. Sometimes just it helps me in a way where I'm able to share one tip, but with the coaching group, and it can be a $10,000 savings, like little things about home office accommodations and things like that most people just don't know about. So I know nobody loves I'm going to spend an hour thinking about taxes, but when you embrace it as not a task to be getting, like a root canal, and say, all right, what can I really learn about this, and put your research cap on, it's amazing how quickly you talk about actionable results, right? So hopefully, if you don't hear this in time to join us for that, ask us for the replay. We'll make sure we get it. And the bottom line, what is the exact website, Jess?
It's thebottomlinecpa.com.
Thebottomlinecpa.com. Yeah, definitely get on Jess's list, listen to her podcast. And if you can, get on her roster. It'll change your business for sure. Thank you both. I appreciate you. See you on the next one. Hey, don't forget your goodies. Head over to copychief.com/copychiefradio to get some great free stuff to help you put the things you hear on the show into action for your business. copychief.com/CCR.